G'day, ladies and gentlemen. How are we? Ready for another freedom fighting and freedom loving session? Because if you don't love it enough to fight for it, you ain't going to have it for much longer. So, unless, of course, you thought back over the last 4 years and thought, truth, I really enjoyed all that tyranny and, the loss of medical freedoms and being locked down indefinitely, especially for all you poor buggers in Victoria. They got the longest lockdown in history. Well, if you enjoyed that, you know what? Turn this off, go back to sleep, watch your favorite television show, or even better yet, go and watch somebody play with their balls in public. You never know. All that sport could really help. Somehow I doubt it, though. I did have a little thing here I was going to say, and I forgot to bring it up, so just give me a second. Truth, where to put it? 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Got caught up having a conversation before we started this one. Oh, shit, we've got to go live. What are we doing? and there, and there. Right. So, we want to welcome everybody to the Watchdogs Breakfast. I'm sure you're wondering what the hell that means, because it's a bit of a dog's breakfast, the scenario we're talking about here, and just happens to be wearing a wristwatch at the same time, this dog. We have Heidi back on today. And before we start, I must remind all of viewers that this show is clearly for entertainment purposes. For in case you missed the notice the first time, here it is again. This podcast and all images alike, intellectual property is not for republication of any kind without express written permission. Any unauthorized reproduction will be met with the full force of the law. So don't go stealing my shit, please. By all means, share it, but Anyway, the important thing here that some people seem to be having some trouble with is the views, ideas, and opinions as expressed here are for entertainment purposes only and should not be perceived as advice of any kind. Not to be perceived as advice of any kind. Seriously, come on, guys. It's really easy stuff. We encourage people to do their own research. I know it's a horrible concept, but, God helps those who help themselves, and make up their own minds as to what is or isn't true. I know the Murdoch media and the rest of the lamestream would, rather you just put all your faith and trust into them and stop thinking for yourself. But that's just not how we operate here. Just reminding you, though, it is your life. No one should have the right to tell you otherwise. Pretty simple, straightforward stuff. But it seems there are some people out there that are having a bit of trouble with this. I know, Channel 10 and the Bully certainly have trouble with it. They seem to think they're a law unto themselves as well. But hey, we might pull out that catchphrase one day, $111.70, and, take some of these journalists to court for their breaches and particularly, defamations. But anyway, enough about me. What's important here is we've got Heidi here, who is definitely in the entertaining mood today. G'day, Heidi. How you going? Love that. Oh, sorry, the hair.
For the record, my name's capital H, lowercase E-I-D-I, uppercase W, lowercase A-R-D. Born on the 24th of November, 1972. Well and truly alive. Good morning.
Well, good afternoon.
Evening.
Sips to that. I've got to admit the
I'm going to take it off.
Well, tell us a little bit about the wig, though. Yeah, it looks good. It's entertaining, but tell people what you've done there. What you've made it out of, I think, is even more a hilarious concept.
A hand towel and toilet paper and sticky tape.
The toilet paper, I think, is the piece de resistance. That is the ultimate.
It's just a joke. The whole thing when they put it on, it's just like you've got a cat on your head. Like you can't take them seriously.
Yeah, it's pretty hard. It's
joke's done on that one.
Yeah. No, that was good. I really enjoyed that. So, Heidi, how are you going?
Yes, well, I'm, as we all know, I'm currently being sued by the Legal Watchdog, and I don't think you and I made up that term. I believe that's the Courier Mail, my dear friends who've written 122 articles of me, and they labelled it the Watchdog. So they're suing me for giving legal advice, and I couldn't say more than that I didn't. All right. So it's been placed in the Supreme Court, and I guess how that goes about is they've brought an injunction on me that I'm not to do this and I'm not to do that, and they have to provide affidavit material, I have to respond, and unfortunately they failed to respond to their last on the 10th of January. They had their last opportunity to respond, and they didn't. And then they had an opportunity today to bring a submission, and the submission it includes you guys. So
Wow.
exhibit, I think 1 and 2 is North Queensland Freedom Network.
Wow. We're getting pretty popular, the Freedom Network, I must say. Like, from
Yeah,
the
I
Townsville
know. They
Bulletin,
supplied the
Current
1 hour and
Affair,
something.
Channel 10, Channel 9, Channel 7. I'm pretty sure ABC might have even dipped their finger in the pot. Like, they're obviously really struggling to get any kind of news these days, with the constantly coming, to write about important people such as us, I guess.
Well, they called them the Legal Watchdog, and I guess tonight I've made a little bit of a pun that we need to sniff out, we need to fetch the facts, we need to dig up some dirt on them, because it's fascinating that they can assume something, pretend something, and bring it to the Supreme Court. When you, if I can clarify something, you did just before, have a notice that you cannot bring this into any other realm because it's copywritten. Is that right?
Yeah, it's basically a form of copyright. I mean, this is my intellectual property. I've openly stated, do not use my shit without permission. It's pretty
So
straightforward stuff.
your exhibit 2, the whole hour and something the last time we were on, your exhibit 2 in the
And they haven't
Supreme
approached
Court.
me.
They
No
haven't?
way have they approached. No, nobody's approached me for the use of my footage, especially not to use it as some kind of evidence against a guest that I've had on here too. That's pretty hardcore. But I have noticed
And
they
I'm
seem to want
assuming
to
you're
target my
happy to write
guests.
an affidavit, happy to be a witness.
Of course, I'd consider it my civic duty.
And then you could potentially bring the show to the Brisbane Supreme Court, and we could do a version 6 of the Rake series.
Yeah, for sure. Hang on. We've got that itch to scratch.
That's right, we do.
There it is.
So I guess what's happened is I have been sued for doing a duty of care for somebody that I actually got out of jail in whichever way it will be. It's a HZX versus QPS, QSC 168. The first publication of that was on the 2nd of August. I notified Justice Bowskills, Chief Justice of Queensland, that potentially her judgment on that was incorrect, and she republished it on the 6th of August. And then she's actually done it further, from my understanding only, what would I know, a re-citation. So I believe there's 3 versions of this, whereby a lady who was still innocent until proven guilty was held in custody for 40 days at the hands of a magistrate called Magistrate Dwyer and a prosecutor called Sheena Gravino. And that's well listed in within HZX, apart from their names. And it was seen as a complete deprivation of liberty. And for some reason, the Legal Service Commissioner, rather than commending me, have decided to condemn me, to the point they've actually put in their affidavit that I was grandstanding myself by acting as a Mackenzie's friend after she got out of jail. And they put her in front of the same magistrate and the same prosecutor that actually were found guilty of her liberties, refused to recuse themselves. And they thought, they've actually said in their submission to court, I was grandstanding to get some sort of attention for that.
So,
It's
I
beyond
mean,
belief.
grandstand. I think grandstanding, like, did you build your own little fucking stadium in there and get up on the grandstand and, kick a football in the court or something? Like, how exactly were you grandstanding?
There was a little bit of a breakup there. I don't know, because last I looked, I live in North Queensland. Grandstanding is not something that I'm into. Certainly, someone spending 40 days in prison, you don't write off the back of that. That would be very sad. Further, they've said that I gave her legal advice, in brackets, potentially legal advice. She acted on her own behalf. She's got an affidavit in court that said that she did. So I really don't know what's going on. But the irony of it is, I flicked you that document that's well published that Megan Mahone, she is the Commissioner of Legal Services, and it appears in her own right she's chasing her, pardon the pun, own tail. And she hasn't, there's that many complaints from people against the Legal Commission. There's, she's not getting the funding, whatever that means. And things aren't being resolved. So why would they chase their tail? I was trying to do some dog puns and I've gone off track, but why would they chase me in relation when they're chasing their own tail? The legal watchdogs chasing their own tail, doing their own thing, and nothing that I've done could be perceived as malice, could be perceived as wrongdoing or anything like that. There's a classic High Court precedent, Proudman versus Damon, 1941, and that's a duty of care. And as far as I'm concerned, I will stand by my belief, and that's what I did. So, but the big thing is that in my belief, they've my belief and my alleged belief is they committed 20 mistakes in their originating application. They used the Courier Mail's News Corp opinion-based article to bring the charges in the first instance, which don't even meet up to the transcript. And then it's just a cover-up and a cover-up and a cover-up.
Do you know what that article was called by any chance? Let's see if I can find it.
It'll be Jessica Hambry, Heidi Ward, something. I don't know exactly. There's heaps of them. There's hundreds of articles now. I'm not sure. I'm not supposed to be conferring on this, but it is in the newspaper, so I'm not sure how I can be blocked from reading the newspaper. So basically, they said that Jessica said this and Jessica said that, and I stood up to be a Mackenzie's friend for her. And as Mackenzie's friend, you're not supposed to address the court. So Magistrate Dwyer straight away said, "Who are you?" Well, he knew who I was. However, he asked Jessica, "What?" That's it. Yep. What do you need Miss Ward for today? And she said, "Your Honour, because you put me in jail for 40 days unlawfully, and I need some emotional support because you, sir, are a criminal." And on that, he had a knee-jerk reaction. This is on record. Knee-jerk reaction. And he said, well, she can do that from the back of the court. And as I sat down, I sort of shook my head as to we asked him to recuse himself. He refused to. With that much apprehended bias, why he wouldn't stand to the side, right? And he refused to. So literally this woman who in HZX absolutely 100% had a deprivation of liberty for 40 days, put her back in front of the abuser, and that he is an abuser if he put her in jail for 40 days.
Yeah.
He refused to recuse himself, and then he refused for her to have emotional support, and then kicked me out of the courtroom. And the Legal Service Commission is saying I was grandstanding? Unthinkable, right?
So these shots here, Heidi Ward, legal advocate.
Yep.
Legal advocate. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I started the journey in 2019 being falsely arrested. And I was in the tweenie. I couldn't get legal advice and I couldn't afford a lawyer. I was very lucky to have an individual gentleman who had a past that took me under his wing. Sorry, I must have COVID, right? Anyway, he took me under his wing and educated me in stuff. And I found this disparity in the law. You either are on legal aid and you get, a legal aid that gets paid the Schedule 2 list of fees, which is not much, or you have money to get a lawyer. If you're in the in-between place, you either lose everything in order to fight.
Yeah.
So I guess the advocate brochure is I can show you where the court forms are. I can write your affidavit. Let me put it in the correct, way. It should be an assistant, like a friend of the court, essentially.
Mm.
And under Section 45 of the Acts Interpretations Act, anyone can prosecute. So this is where the prosecutors can prosecute, but they don't have to have legal knowledge. So every day on a Monday, all these criminals or said criminals or alleged criminals going to court, and the prosecutor doesn't have a legal background. Yet I'm being sued for apparently, potentially over the phone, in brackets, maybe providing legal advice. And they're threatening 3 years imprisonment or $50,000. Yet if you're actually a lawyer, barrister, solicitor, you'd go to QCAT to a tribunal.
Mm.
Because last I looked, the Watchdog, I'm not part of the RSPCA, I'm not part of the legal profession, and I'm not part of the Bar Association. So I don't know how they think that they can bring this against me. Especially when the individual concerned said she didn't get legal advice.
There you go. So it's a bit of a contradiction, isn't it? I mean, I think more importantly too, they seem to be barking up the wrong tree in the sense that, this alleged watchdog here, is supposed to be investigating all the actual complaints. Who exactly has brought a complaint against you? Is it the watchdog themselves, or is it like a member of the public? Like, I mean, as I understand it, the watchdog should be a complaint should be issued to them by a member of the public.
Well, I can only assume, and it's an assumption only, and what would I know? It's a very small town here in Ellie Beach, and one we could only assume that there's a particular prosecutor. She might be the prosecutor she is the prosecutor in HZX versus QPS that's been seen to do this, and potentially I would say she's told a mate from one of the local firms to dibber-dobber. And I can say that quite confidently because of the ongoing behaviour by this individual, which I can't speak about, which will be in front of the court very shortly. So they've made that. That's an assumption, right? But 2 and 2 equal 4, right? So I'm assuming that that's the case. This individual just recently sent an email to me that is scathingly not good for her. It's showing very consistent behaviour to HZX. So I'm assuming there was a camaraderie between them, small town gossip, and they've jumped in. Potentially because it's a murder case, potentially because I've beat the state of Queensland, potentially prosecuting police officers, things like that. Maybe have a target on my back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we refer back to this article here too, it's the Legal Services Commission has failed to meet its benchmarks for investigating a growing number of complaints against lawyers and may recommend new rules if it cannot be assured of adequate government resources. Queensland's legal sector watchdog is unable, it's a straight up, is unable to meet its own target of finalising 60% of investigations with 18 months and closing all cases within 24 months. At the end of 22-23, the Commission managed just 58% and 76% respectively. So it's 58% by 18 months and 76% by 24 months, In the Commission's annual report tabled in State Parliament on Monday, Legal Services Commissioner Megan Mahon, that's how you say it, Mahon or something like that?
Who knows? Mahone.
Mahone.
Let's be French. It's Mahone. Mahone.
If we say it enough ways, one of them will end up being right. Pointed to an ongoing deterioration in the behaviour of Queensland lawyers that might require government intervention. No. So there's clearly a problem with actual lawyers. Why aren't they dealing with those? Those people are taking people's money. and pretending to provide the service they're supposed to. They're, robbing people blind. There has been discussion for many years and probably decades that there is ongoing decline in professional standards. Struth, any wonder people might want to take matters into their own hands in this case if there's a decline in professional standards.
Anyway, but yeah.
Even simple professional courtesies, like they're not even courteous about, they didn't even take you out to dinner before they fucked you over. Like it's a bit rude. It's a bit rude. So while the commission and the regulatory bodies simply doesn't have the resources to deal with every single transgression, so that's another very interesting point here. They simply don't have the resources, yet they seem to have a lot of resources to be coming after little old you, who's never claims to be a lawyer. So it almost seems as if they're acting outside of their jurisdiction.
In one of the submissions, they actually did a database search on every legal lawyer, whatever, in the entire of Australia, and put that towards the court. And I will give Justice Crowley, which I hear is a straight down the line judge, and I will say he was very fair with me. He said, she says on her brochure she's not a lawyer. So why would you go down and use all those resources when my brochure says I'm a lawyer? They know I'm not.
Was it that one? Oh, yeah, here. It's right here. They even printed it in the fucking newspaper. I am not a lawyer. They printed it in the newspaper.
I'm not a lawyer.
So, I mean, even the idiot at the mainstream media can figure that out.
Forbidden. So my injunction is forbidden to show that brochure, yet the paper produced it. Do you know how many people that have contacted me since they put it in the paper?
Free advertising.
Right. They redacted. It's not hard to Google me, right? So the irony is I didn't take it off my Facebook page because I couldn't remember I even put it up there. And they actually contacted me and said, you haven't taken it down, but it's in the Courier Mail.
Are they going to take it down?
I have no words. You can't.
Clearly not, because I just found it. It's still there. It's still there. I better actually save that as a PDF just in case they decide to take it down after this.
And
so,
I can't bring up things like you do because I'm not that tech savvy. But they actually said, Miss Ward, you've been ordered to take this down. And I'm like, I can't even find it on my own page. But anyway, now I can find it easily. I just type in Courier Mail and there it is. Right?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you for that. But unfortunately, I have an injunction on me, and most people, sadly, that call me, I'm not supposed to confer with anybody, but they're sad tales. And all of them are about police corruption. And the interesting thing I found today, there's 17,000 potentially plus police officers in Queensland 2023 figures, and there's 8,300 allegations against them. So they're the allegations. Take away the people that just plead guilty because they can't afford a lawyer and this and that and the other thing, right? So you probably potentially got 17,000 police officers, 10,000 of them have issues in front of the court. That's not confidence in the public, is it?
No, definitely not.
You wonder why there's so many problems with the legal profession, and that article that you just wrote. It's a compounding effect. Once the people lose faith in the police, they lose faith in them. What do they expect? Oh no, you're right, even though you're lying to me. Yep, no, you're right. I'll spend $120,000 on a lawsuit, and no, you're right. When do they realise you have freedom of speech? And that's the big thing. What is the legal profession? What is the Bar Association? And who has the right to talk about the law?
Yeah. Well, and you got to wonder, is this setting a dangerous precedent if for some reason you were to lose this, which, as I understand it, is pretty unlikely. But if you lose this, it sets a precedent that the average person can't discuss the law itself in public or with a friend or anything like that? Like, why aren't we allowed to have that conversation? It
You
seems
can't
to me that
confer. You
they're,
can't. That would actually mean that Google would be in trouble, wouldn't it? And
yeah,
AI intelligence would be in trouble. And
yep. I've
anyone
used
that said,
AI for
"Oh,
legal
you're
stuff.
sitting at the pub with your mate," and said, "Oh, fuck, I got done for drink driving last night. Oh, I can't talk. You can't confer with you. Sorry."
Yeah, yeah. I can't even tell you that I won.
Right? So
Mm,
it's where do you draw the line and what's the law and who are you assisting in writing something? So,
mm,
Mum, I've got to do a submission for this. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. So where's the line? I guess if it
yeah,
causes harm to somebody would be the line for me. If you
mm,
said to someone, you've got to do this, and you pressured them to do it and they couldn't think for themselves and they were incapable and something happened to them,
mm,
potentially
yeah.
there's the line. That's it.
Well, isn't
Other
isn't
than
that
that,
coercion?
well, that's right. So if the person says, I didn't give legal advice or someone didn't give legal advice, they didn't.
Mm,
End of story. Move on. Get another job, mate.
yeah.
Right? So it's gone too far. It's like the if I can go back again, the Legal Service Commissioner is in charge of, and I'm sure there'll be repercussions for this for me, but I don't care. Well, I care, and that's why I'm speaking about it. They're in charge of every lawyer, solicitor, and barrister of the state. You just read the article, right?
Mm,
It's not looking very good, is it?
no.
What's she doing about it?
Mm,
What's the government doing about it? Oh, coming after little old me. The
yeah.
Legal Service Commissioner, I allege, made 21 mistakes. In fact, when they gave their submission to court today, they had affidavit part 1, part 2, part 3 to their originating application. I don't expect anyone to understand what that means, and I certainly couldn't explain that currently with my injunction. However, 20 mistakes in their originating application. They then
Mm,
went on and used media to bring about the claim, which is contrary to the affidavit. Then
mm,
they're now hearsay, and then now they're using unlawful footage, and there doesn't seem to be any ramifications at this point.
mm. It's
Have
very
you
disturbing
Googled
stuff.
what happens if someone does Googled anything about if someone uses your footage in a legal proceedings or without your permission?
I think
What
we
the
can have a look at that in a minute
consequences of that?
because I'm pretty sure there's some pretty steep consequences for fucking with
Right.
copyrighted material. I mean, I know you can use like small portions in for as fair use. If you're going to discuss it and talk about things relating to the material, but you can't grab the whole frigging thing and do whatever you like with it. You can't go and use, as Channel 10 did with me and take one line out of context to defame you. Like that's just ridiculous. But there's some more interesting stuff in this article that I found quite interesting. The proverbial slippery slope will only be addressed and standards maintained or preferably improved if we have a regulatory regime that can effectively and efficiently respond to unprofessional conduct and is proactive in the deterrence of all unacceptable conduct and the encouragement of exemplary behaviours and ethical practice. Now, I can't help but feel that what you were doing should be encouraged as exemplary behaviour and ethical practice, where you're just trying to
100%.
help people out,
It was
by
a
having
duty
a
of care
conversation.
that I should never have been in that position because the magistrate shouldn't have put her in that position.
Yeah,
The prosecutor shouldn't, and anyone else that was a legal, whoever, and the chief. It's all in my submission. If you flick down a little bit further, I can't see this because I'm looking into a
yeah,
white light at the moment. If you go down, I think somewhere down the bottom there, Megan Mahone talks about justice and equity at justice and what the justice system needs.
yeah. Well, we'll come to it
Oh,
because there's
sorry, I
still some
can't bring it up
interesting
right.
stuff here. No, it's all right. Like, there's some interesting stuff here as well. If it can't be efficiently or effectively dealt for resource reasons with given current demands and constraints, then alternative measures need to be considered. So clearly, the watchdog itself is in trouble. In 2022 to 23, the Commission recorded a 25% increase. 25% increase in new matters on its books. Discipline actions and criminal prosecution surged 123%, but was also able to finalise more than in the previous years. By how much, I'm not sure. But what I found really interesting is the majority of it seems to be in family law.
Fines have gone up so much. Yeah. So this is what happens. So the fines have been all put up. So you might be innocent of the charge, and you're in that 20 bit where you don't get legal aid, and I don't know that any legal aid's ever got anyone off a charge that I'm aware of. But you go in there and they say, well, plead guilty of your own accord, $200, no conviction recorded, or like some sort of plea bargain. Then they stand these people in front of the court and say, do you plead? They take them out for it without prejudice meeting, have this little chitty chat, scare the shit out of them, and then say, do you plead guilty of your own accord? Well, they've just been told you can plead guilty of your own accord. It'll be $200. It'll be a lesser fine. But if you take this to court, you're looking at 50 grand.
Yeah.
And no normal individual has that in their back pocket to give to the court that they're never going to get back again. Right? So this 8,400 alleged complaints, I think I could times that by 2 for what I've seen in my time. So we need reform. And it looks like Megan Mahone, she's targeting me because potentially I might be exposing the fact that there's no fairness in the system.
Yeah. And particularly when it comes to things like I said, 66% of complaints, and I'm assuming it's 66% based on, like, again, it's another one of these wonderful professionally written articles.
Standards, Triple C, we don't know who the complaints are from yet.
Yeah. The 66% for family law, 25% for deceased estates and trusts. And, I've recently had a couple of friends go through this sort of stuff, and the lawyers just rob them blind. To try and steal their estates. Yeah, it's nuts. Litigation, 16%. Conveyancing, 15%. And for criminal law, of all things, is the lowest, but it's still 14% of the cases. So, that's pretty bad. It's very bad.
Well, we didn't write this, did we? So imagine what it really means.
Well, that's it. This is the Brisbane Times.
Really means.
They can't even explain half of what they're saying. We're left to theorise as to what they're trying to say here.
Balanced reporting.
Yeah, righto. I mean, I don't think this adds up to percentage now that I look at it. So I'm still not seeing. Because that's 30. No, it doesn't add up to the percentage. So are they saying there's only 66 complaints? Only 25 complaints?
Well, last year they spent $22 million on police complaints and only one officer was found to have misconduct. Well, does that look like your Facebook feed at the moment?
Hey?
Does that look like your Facebook feed at the moment? You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, funny enough, I just had a friend, seeing you mentioned Facebook, I just had a friend contact me earlier, and I did give him a link to the show if he's watching, who might want to come on and have a yarn a little bit about that, in the next 5-10 minutes or so. But he had the coppers knocking on his door regarding a Facebook post. Where he said that we may have to we might have to physically remove members of the council, because they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, he's on physical could mean a lot of things.
The police are not the Crown, and nor is the council the Crown. So I don't know where they would think that they got that authority from. And they've just been told by somebody potentially to do that, and they just do it. So I'm just going to bring up something so what I've done now is I've put in a strikeout notice as frivolous and vexatious against the commissioner, and I did make a mistake and I put it on the wrong form. Anyway, you get that because I'm not a legal professional. So the difference between the form 5 and the form 9 was the number 5 and the number 9. But anyway, I get they got a process. So that's on its way in the post, because where I live, it's 6 days to get to Brisbane, stamped by the Supreme Court. I have to put a self-addressed envelope in it for them to send the copies back, and then I have to send it back to Brisbane. So it's an 18-day turnaround for any documents I want to lodge. However, if you're in the High Court, you could just put it on a portal. Right. Anyway, but what is, I'm just going to put this. What is the legal profession? What is it? Are they a member of the Bar Association? Do you actually know what the Bar Association? It's not licensed.
British
it's an
accredited
association.
regulation or something like that. Is that, did I get that right?
Australian Bar Association. So this is what I wrote in paragraph 5. I'll just read it to you. I'd like to suggest that the legal profession is for those who are a member of the Australian Bar Association. And it must be said that the practice of law cannot be licensed. The US precedents that I put forward. However, the practice of law is an occupation of common right. Sims versus Ahern's, 271 SW 720 1925. A certificate to practice law. In courts, as a member of the state's judicial branch, they can only represent wards of the state, infants and persons of unsound mind, and the defendant, so I am none of those. A certificate is not a license. A license is an official permission granted by the government. A bar card is a membership. It's not a license. It's a union dues card, and the bar is a professional association. Like the Actors Association, the Painters Union, rah, rah. No association, even doctors, can issue their own license. They are issued by the state and they are independent and private association dues. And if you do 6 years at law and you don't pay your 10 grand to that bar association, you can't. You're out. You want to
There's here 4 members providing members with information about events, announcements, issues, and our member offers program. So it's clearly a membership scenario.
It's a membership. If you don't pay your membership to the ABA, Australian Bar Association, you don't get to practice law. Not only that, you have to be a member of the ABA, and then you've got to be a legal professional as well. However, police prosecutors who say they represent R, which is false, the DPP, the CDPP, they're all just, they're not lawyers, solicitors. Some of them might be, but they don't have to be. We've got a problem here, Houston, when they come after someone like me for this, and potentially it's because of exterior circumstances of
well, it's clearly stated this is about money. This is about money.
No,
you know, the first thing to service money here, development and promotion of business opportunities for Australian barristers in Australia and internationally. So it seems to me the purpose of the Bar Association is to make money for their members and provide business opportunities.
Really?
That's the way I'm interpreting this. Like, I mean, you know, maybe the Bar Association will have to come on in this podcast and tell us all about what they're actually doing.
Gosh. What's that song? Hound dog. Nothing but a hound dog. What would I know? I wouldn't know anything.
I think they cry like this though. There's your hound dog crying all the time.
So, but it just comes down to this hypocrisy of the line in the sand. So, if you're supposed to abide by the law, right? You might think, let's give
promote the highest standards of ethics. Where's the ethics and the idea of
we've seen that in abundance?
Seems to be a bit of a contradiction in terms when they, you know, want to develop and promote business opportunities. But, you know, they're obviously, when they're talking about ethics, they're talking about business ethics, which is another one of those wonderful oxymorons, much like military intelligence.
Well, I'm a bit dumb, Mark. I'm just the ringing of my ears, the bees and the bells. I'm going to agree with you on that, but, you know, what would I know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We can only go with what's here. Like, you know, I didn't write this.
No. We're just reading it together.
Yep.
I'll be the remedial studies teacher.
These
Or
are
you
just
can be it
ideas
for
and
me.
discussions. Just about anything I talk about usually ends up
It's
going, well, let's
crazy,
find out
right?
about it. Like how hard, like it's not like is this information here? Oh, hey, have you seen this? I mean, what's the difference between saying, hey, have you seen this piece of legislation versus did you see that footy game on the weekend? I mean,
Oh,
I guess the only difference I
can't
see is the
confer
outcome of
to
that
you
footy game
about
has
them.
no fucking bearing on your life unless you allow it, whereas this legal system sooner or later comes for you, one way or the other, whether it's they're
Well, like you
attacking
could
you
be in potential
money
legal
or
proceedings. Yeah, you could be in potential legal proceedings, and my injunction says that I'm not supposed to confer with anyone in any future potential proceedings. How would I know what a future potential proceeding is? That's a
yeah.
deprivation of liberty, and I'll stand by it. I'll stand in the court.
Mm.
I don't have an issue with that, because if you're not taught the law growing up through the
Mm.
education system, how does one even know that they've broken the law? Then the semantics of breaking down between legal advice and lawful advice, that anyone can give legal information or lawful information. And on a broader sense of the facts regarding the law and regulations, general guidance and lawful information, we should all be allowed to do it. Because if we
Yeah.
weren't taught it, they've got us hoodwinked, haven't they?
Mm.
If you don't
I
know it
love
and you
this
have to
bit.
go and spend 50 grand at a lawyer,
Mm. Well, they say ignorance of the law is no excuse. So why can't I arm myself
good
by
point.
knowing the law? So you'll make up
I
your
like
mind,
that.
ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse. And here they are saying they want to advance the rule of law, and most particularly advocate for fair and equal access to justice for all. How is that happening when they're robbing people blind? Anybody
well,
wants to deal with a lawyer, they're charging you for 5 minutes on the phone. They charge you to write a letter. They charge to breathe the same air as you. It's like, you came into the office and breathed my air. There's a bill. How is this fair? How is it equal? Because I don't you call up a builder and say, hey mate, can you give me a quote? They don't charge you for the fucking quote, but a lawyer would.
Oh, absolutely.
So
And I'd
how is
love
this
to
fair?
speak about something that's just happened with me, but because it was ruled out at this point as frivolous and vexatious. And I think the actual magistrate's on Team Heidi. There's a judicial review going in about it. So I've got 16 matters in front of the court that much of it's silent until it won't be. It'll hit ahead in a couple of months. It's been a lot. Anyway, so that's to the side, and then there might be several private prosecutions on certain people going ahead. Certain other people might be picking up the ball on the $111.70 potential, and there's big stuff happening in the background. But what happens is they try and rule it out under a Section 102B of the Justices Act, and that means lack of further and better particulars. So the grass was 1.5 centimeters today. The sky was blue. The sun was shining. Like literally, you have to put every freaking movement in this, and then they can rule it out as frivolous and vexatious if they choose, and order costs. The momentum's gathering, I will say that, and there will be some bigger news moving forward. So at the end of the day, no one can own the law.
Yeah.
Because that would mean the police officer that came up and said under Section 1234 of the Transport Act, you've been charged with speeding. Did he just give you legal advice?
That's a very good question. That's a bloody good question. I never thought of it like that.
Well, you did. When you get the rates notice under section so-and-so, you're ordered to pay that. Did they give you legal advice?
This could open up one hell of a can of worms. Maybe you should lose this on purpose so we can fucking hit everybody else up.
Where's the line? Where's the line in the sand?
Yeah.
Right?
Because, although it becomes a dangerous thing for people like us to have that conversation, it then becomes a very dangerous thing for the newspapers, the police, anybody else who's not part of their little gang. that's a very interesting one.
The media is a Courier Mail, News Corp, classic example of people that go in, did their little 5 months reporting course, go in and they sit in the court and they write this article and they don't even know what the bench is or the bar is or whatever, and they write this just, murderer, this, alleged this and alleged that. Is, I'm pretty sure that their boss says as long as you put alleged and this in front of it, you can write whatever you want to write. And they don't understand the damage that does to sub judice trials or trial by media, and just that the inhumane way that someone is meant to be innocent until proven guilty, right?
Yeah.
And it's wrong because the media play a huge part because they are part of the government. They're subsidised by it. So is the magistrate and executive arm. So the Crimes Act 1914, off topic, just going to jump in somewhere here. The Crimes Act 1914, Commonwealth law, on the 24th of November last year, my birthday actually, they have actually amended the Crimes Act, and it actually says the Supreme Court judge or federal court circuit judge or family court judge acts in their personal capacity and they're not a member of the court or a court.
Acting in their personal capacity, that opens up for $111.70, doesn't it?
They also say they're bound by the same immunity if they weren't.
Yeah,
that's a question. So, Mark, you'd be aware of other stuff that's happening with our friends Daryl, and we're trying to put in a case. I can't really speak about it without their permission, but we put a case forward and it was denied by the High Court, and
right.
It came back by the High Court judge, probably one of the most presiding ones at the top of the tree, that he's not a Commonwealth officer and he doesn't want to take the case. So currently we're trying to convince a High Court judge to take this matter.
So the High Court judge won't hear the case because they don't want to.
No,
I didn't realise it was an optional thing.
Oh, apparently nor did we. He's not a Commonwealth officer. He doesn't have to.
So what the fuck's he doing in the courtroom?
Well, he's acting in his personal capacity. So when the court order says when and I really won't put this on record, and I hope they're listening. So when the court says, the judge or the magistrate says the court orders this, and they're not the court or a court member, as pursuant to the legislation in the Crimes Act 1914, I could verbatimly bring up the sections of the Act. I don't need to because anyone listening knows I know, right?
Yeah.
It's their legislation. Who are they?
It's always the big question. Who is they? Because the faces we see doing these things aren't one.
We're getting very close. I might actually put this on public record. It's totally off topic. Let me just get my notes. So, you know how everything's happening with our titles, and the world seems a bit strange at the moment, and Donald Trump's saying he's going to take over Greenland and he's going to take over Canada, and, to keep it really simply, there's a lot behind the scenes to do with treaties and doctrine of discovery and a lot of this stuff. But I might put it out there for your viewers to actually look up the United Kingdom's Administration of Estates Act 1925. And then at the same time, I put it out there to look up the Settlements and Estates Act 1925. And I'm going to leave that there. And potentially you'll see there was a 99 lease on our country, all the Commonwealth countries. I'm going to leave it there for your viewers.
The same thing. Yeah, our Indigenous friends have said the same thing, and
there's the act there. It's there in black and white.
The tribes want it back. The 99 lease is done.
It's done, and
that's when they started the voice crap.
Yep. So what they're
So
trying to do, potentially, in my opinion, bring us back under the Commonwealth, because it's all gone a bit skewy, because potentially there's a lot of crimes of war happening at the moment, of
yep.
people acting in their personal capacity in a court that's not a court, and taking away people's children's and putting people in jail and all sorts of things, and having this some sort of authority. You hey, watch Gulliver's Travels.
Yeah, I have to. I'll get
It's
the
all
old one
about
out too.
yeah,
I
it's
haven't
all
seen it since
about
it was
this.
Neo or Grasshopper. And actually,
So
we
anyway,
were
we might have to
discussing
look at the copyright. Go on.
well, we were discussing, the things the other day. There was the mention of parlay in Pirates of the Caribbean. Well,
Yep.
what was I watching? I watched something the other day where I was thinking it was Harry Potter had brought the term up as well, where so and so was, I think it was Hagrid or Dumbledore, one of them, goes to parlay with the giants.
Yeah. There's
So
so
like
much in the
these
word.
terms pop up quite often. It's very fascinating stuff. If you really listen into the dialogue in these movies. And
Well,
there
I
was an
I
interesting one
can't
here I
speak too
found
much
too.
about. Sorry, Mark. Yep, go
Yeah, all
on.
right. One word reshaped Legal
There's a double
Watchdog's
back.
public complaint guidance. So the legal industry watchdog changed its public guidance and disciplinary complaints from "it must" to "it may investigate."
Yeah.
So now, we might
Well, that
investigate it.
brings in exactly what I was about
If
to
we give a
say.
shit.
No. This is I was just about to bring this up, because I can't actually talk in context of what happened to me in court the other day. But all I
Yeah.
can say is the magistrate sent the defendant, I was the prosecutor, at both parties away to ask us our statutory interpretation of the word "the magistrate" or "a magistrate" or the word "shall" or the word "may." And
Right.
normally I would have just said, look, that's your job. It's not my job. But, I always like a challenge. So I went home and I literally went through everything. And then I gave him the statutory interpretation of person and court and everything like that, which he potentially didn't like. But
Yep.
he then ordered costs, and the costs he wasn't able to, because of that word "may" and "shall." So it's a very big word. He actually stood over the court to the next day for our interpretation, because he didn't seem to know it, or he was just passing the buck.
Yeah.
One can only assume.
Yeah. That's
So
it.
may
Try and get you to entrap
so
yourself
they
into
don't have to
something.
look into anything anymore. They
Might. We may investigate.
might.
Yeah. So it says must to may investigate after a female lawyer contacted the agency fearing all allegations of sexual assault would be dismissed without investigation. Interesting.
What?
So I get, the Australian Financial Review last week revealed allegations the New South Wales Office of the Legal Services Commission quashed a sexual assault claim against a high-profile Sydney solicitor despite a court agreement to pass on all information to the Law Society for full investigation.
Well, who's the Law Society in this? So it's the Law Society, the Department of Justice, Attorney General. Who are they? Because when you ring them up, they go, "Oh, we can't help you. We're just the Law Society. We can give you a name and address of a lawyer or whatever." Who are they?
See what the internet says.
Google, you're in trouble. You're giving legal advice.
Okay. Yep. So we're going to get some legal advice here from the internet. The Law Society of New South Wales
Is
here.
it time to put my wig back on and say order?
If you wish. What we do, from statutory obligations to representative functions, the Law Society's responsibilities are numerous, as are the interests we seek to serve. We strive to uphold the guiding principles expressed in our vision. Their vision and mission statement.
How ambiguous is that?
Yes, yeah. It's just what we think. Fuck the rest of yous. Our initiatives are focused on the following areas. Learn more. It reminds me of RoboCop. No, not RoboCop. Starship Troopers. Click here to learn more. So I'm pretty sure. This is the About Us. Tells us what we do, organised structure, career opportunities, law commitments, law society initiatives, services. It doesn't tell you who they are.
No, because they're nobody. And you ring them up and you ask them, and they'll give you, I'm looking for a lawyer. They'll give you a list of 5 lawyers. You only get 5 at a time. You ask them questions. You'll get somebody that doesn't even speak English usually on there. It's a debacle is what it is. The Law Society.
All these contacts, not one of them actually has a name. They're all job titles.
No shit. SH1T.
Wow. There you go. So that, yeah, doesn't seem to have one name.
Contact them and you'll go, hello, my name is Inga. I'm from Sweden. Can I help you today? Oh, I don't understand what you want. I transfer you now. And you go to 6, 7, 8 departments until you give up.
Again, you've got to be a member to find out who the government solicitors are. Member-only content.
That's right. Oh, or you could privately prosecute people and then they represent and you work it out pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a bit of George Carlin coming on here. It's a big gang, a big party, and you're not invited. You know, like it's paraphrasing.
Well,
I probably got it wrong.
Invited them. I might have invited a few people, so yeah, maybe we might be going. I guess there's many ways to skin a cat, and you know, redress.
I have to wonder how easy is it to set up one of these things and do what they're doing, and go, well, if you become a member, does that make it okay to talk about the law? Then we set up a membership program.
Yeah, $10,000 a year.
Yeah, surely we can be a bit nicer with the price. Yeah, for entertainment purposes only, you know. It's a fascinating
this is the point,
system,
but then you'll get sued by the legal service professional because you're not allowed to talk about the law. You're not allowed to confer about the law with any potential or any future. So you might not have a charge on you right now. I could meet you at the pub and go, "There you go, mate, rah, rah, rah." Then you ring me up 5 years later, say, "Oh, for a speeding ticket. I remember you, had your own shit going on. Is there any chance you can help me?" "Oh, I can't confer with you. Sorry, mate." No.
Yeah.
That's just insane. Your mum, is your mum not allowed to give you advice? What does advice mean? Who owns advice?
Now, again, you got to wonder. I mean, I've always argued that the schools, which is possibly more, I allege, is a socialist indoctrination center as opposed to an education facility. They want the children to be only listening to the teachers and what they say. Fuck mum and dad.
Yes, sir.
So, no, this is pretty full on stuff. So.
Well, we'll see what happens. I've got
your head.
3 weeks to. Yeah, well, I got 3 weeks to respond to it, and my response will be honest and it'll be real. And those that are involved, I'm pretty sure, will be honest and real. And we're not trying to cause harm. We're not trying to hurt anybody. But this overzealous, crazy, I'm going to lock you up for 3 years or you're going to pay $50,000 because you allegedly did this. That's just not what we humans should be.
Yeah.
And they should be embarrassed.
Especially when you've got this article here.
Out loud.
Like this article here suggests they can't friggin' do their own job as it is. They're struggling to actually regulate those who claim they are lawyers. Why are they going after somebody who doesn't claim that they're a lawyer? It seems to be a waste of resources when their resources are clearly thin, as stated by this article.
Well, can I tell you something that I learnt just a couple of days ago? So Justice Helen Boskills, she was the, I think she's the Chief Justice in the Supreme Court, who was the Justice in HZX versus QPS, who's potentially written two versions of the judgment now. There's an amazing an amazing case. It's called FLORI versus WINTER. Flory versus Winter.
Can you repeat it? Sorry,
QSC.
FLOR,
Yep.
was it? And now what?
FLORI versus Winter.
Winter,
It's
WINTER.
like winter, summer. Yep, winter.
Yeah.
Q for Queen, S for Sam, C for Cat.
180.
Sorry, I'm still.
QDC 180.
10
District Court.
No, QSC 106 2019.
106.
So this is in reference to two cops in a cop car, where one cop was giving the other cop a head job at the McDonald's drive-through.
Really? Wow.
Really?
There you go.
And Helen Bowskills, at paragraph 35, didn't have a problem with it. And another police officer, seen as a whistleblower, brought it up. And he was sacked from his job. So he went on and took it further. Consequently, Helen Bowskills was outruled by numerous judges in the appellate court. But yet she seemed to be promoted by Anastasia Palaszczuk based on the fact that she believed it was appropriate where 16-year-olds are working in a drive-through, in a thing, for a police officer to be giving another one a head job in a police car on duty.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw that one out there because I can. So
that sounds
you
like
want to tell me I'm doing the wrong? Well, it's a parallel of context. You're trying to tell me I'm doing the wrong thing when the actual person in charge of the justice system believes giving a head job at work
while
in a
wearing
drive-through is okay.
Yeah. It wasn't okay for the bloody president of the United States, as Bill Clinton found out. Why would it be okay for the coppers?
Helen Bowskills, having written 3 versions of HZX, and I'm very happy to talk to her, but she said I'm not allowed to anymore. And that's the truth and that's the fact. But the precedent of that case is on record. FLORI versus WINTER, QSC 106 2019. People, I urge you to look at what the people in charge of our legal system perceive to be okay. And ask me, who's the criminal? So we've just raised the articles, we've raised this, and it gobsmacks me as to how I've ended up in this situation from simply trying to get someone out of jail when I saw she shouldn't have been in there. She shouldn't be in the position she's in, full stop.
Don't know if the term gobsmacked was well chosen, given what we were just looking up.
Yep. All right. So they just rely on ignorance, I think, that people don't know. And it's only when you get to the certain point. So I guess the legal commissioner's trying to shush me. Shush. Did I confer with you about a legal proceedings? Or I potentially did from a past one. I don't know that it said past. It only said future. So I think I'm okay with that one.
So how do they know about the future? Have they got some crystal ball I'm unaware of? Like, I mean, I've got a pretty cool crystal ball here myself. Like, it does some cool stuff. Like, but
can you have a look? Can you have a look?
I see cloud. I see dead cats on people's heads.
Anything else?
No, not a lot. I just got a bit of an electric zap there.
But that's the stupidity.
I feel like my personality's electrified, actually.
Great.
So,
yeah. Is it time for me to put my my wig back on? No.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So I'm about to adjourn the court. Everyone, please rise. Order. Hang on. Where's my gavel?
Where's
Hang
your
on.
gavel?
Found it. It's the dog brush.
Yep.
Thank you. All right. That's the joke. Like. Anyway, I think we had all these we had this banter before this with all these dog jokes, and they were so funny, but it's
Yeah.
kind of not funny, is it?
No, well, you got to laugh or you'll cry. Like it's out there.
The Legal Watchdog. Would you want them watching your house?
No,
I would
no.
want them representing me in a 6-kilometre speeding ticket.
Yeah. Right. So they don't seem they've got their priorities all out of whack. Like there's some serious shit going on here, and they're definitely chasing the wrong people. Any wonder criminals are roaming the streets. They'd rather attack decent citizens. Like handing out fines, like pulling you over for random breath tests. It's just a routine breath test. Well, it might be part of your routine. It's not part of mine.
Well, look at what's happening
just
in
attacking
Victoria.
general people for doing nothing wrong.
Well, the police in Victoria have gone on strike. They're not doing it anymore. They're handing it back to the court.
Yeah,
So
good.
they should.
The court's supposed to be the bloody courts dealing with it.
Yeah. And this is where councils are coming in saying, oh, we're sending it to Spur. How do they get the authority? They're not even the Crown. They're a body corporate. Like, I could go on for hours about this. And there's certain things happening in that department moving forward. But tonight was supposed to be a little bit about fun and a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek. And it was entertainment purposes only and disclaimer, and hopefully the watchdog was watching.
I wonder if they found it as entertaining as we thought it was.
I'll find out in the morning if there's a letter by 10 o'clock on my email.
Yeah.
Friends of mine are going, you'll get into trouble, you'll get this. I'm like, what am I going to get into trouble for? Like, we're allowed to discuss things. We're allowed to confer. We are allowed as humans to do this.
Freedom of speech.
But not only that, we can raise the articles, we can give the proof, and unfortunately, too many people go into the court system and they're too scared or they're too worried. And I woke up the other day and we've got this new magistrate in our area. Wouldn't I like to say something about that on air at the moment? But I might reserve that for the moment.
Yeah, you'll like this. You'll like this. I was looking up a roadmap to remedies for copyright infringement.
Okay.
And it says, "Do you need legal advice?"
Can't help you, Mark. Sorry.
Just thought you might like that.
Yeah. Sorry. Information I can give you. If you Google further, we can do the information bit, but I can't do the advice bit. But I'm sure there'll be information there for you.
Yeah. Well, I might punch it in and just say, Channel 10 have been using my footage without permission. Now the Legal Watchdog wants to use my footage without permission. No one's ever approached me.
Has used.
Yeah.
You're an exhibit in my case. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they've placed it as evidence. I mean, I haven't performed it in the court yet. So
they've got one, the court's got one, and I've got one. So they've used it 3 times.
That's unlawful downloading of my material.
Mm-hmm. Off Rumble.
Yeah.
What are the police doing on Rumble?
Obviously looking for hooligans.
Hooligan? Are you a hooligan?
Wow, who knows what they're going to call me.
Speaking
of hooligans, I'd like to say hello to the Queensland Police Surveillance Drone P3 again. I can't help but notice that they're flying around. I see them here in the Wi-Fi section. Seems to happen every Friday night.
Really?
Yeah, no shit. I'm looking at it right here.
Oh, sorry, I might have agitated that.
No, it's been happening for a while.
Well, I think the moral of the story is there's a classic saying that came up from a partnership. I've got to find it.
Hang on.
Is it the watchdog on the inside of the fence having a go at the postie, or is it the other way around?
There it is. Queensland Surveillance Drone P3.
What the?
Yep. Fascinating stuff, eh?
Yeah, see, I'm not very tech savvy. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. But,
That's
you know,
disturbing.
I just thought I'd share that with the general public. That's what I see every Friday.
Well, I'm not
So
getting
exactly what they're
outside.
doing, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to, you know, ask
You are
some
so
questions.
threatening, Mark. So
Oh,
nervous
yeah.
around you.
Yeah.
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 You're such a bother.
I know I'm a horrible person. I don't know how I live with myself.
That jacket, you know, that's just like
On my
like you can't make this shit up. Like what life? Oh, check it.
oh, scary boogity boogity boo. I knew there was a reason I put this shirt on today.
You can't make that up. Like we're taking the piss. Life's so serious at the moment. But you know, when you're facing, and I hear people, excuse again, they call me and they say, "Oh, this happened to me today," and you know, what? It's nobody that's saying Mary down the road did this. It's all the police did this, the police did that. This happened to me, and if we've got 17,000 police in Queensland and there's 808,400 alleged complaints. They're the ones that complain. Take the ones that just copped it on the chin. We got a problem, Houston. Big problem. Add that to the Commissioner of Legal Services, Megan Mahone, or Megan Mahone.
Is she a
And that
Mahone?
article, and then add that. Huh?
A Macoon, is she? Bit of a hoon.
What? Are you holding in? Sorry, I lost you. I lost you there.
You know, hoon is in driving around, you know, like a nut. Mahoon.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah, but
yeah. Anyway, at the end of the day, the entire legal profession and stakeholders all want the same outcome, apparently, an ethical and robust profession that has the confidence of the public, fellow practitioners, and the judiciary. I know it took us a little while to get there, but we got there in the end. You know, so is that what they really want? Or do they just want to, you know, this is our little club. Yeah.
They don't want that, because if they did, they wouldn't be giving out monies to new libraries or this or that, or the police walking off the job and saying, we don't have enough courts. How hard is it to build another court and get some more magistrates? Or there's heaps of lawyers and whatever. Like, they don't want it because it's a club. There's something not right. Why are people not being dealt with correctly? Like, you kind of look at Donald Trump coming and going, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Isn't that what a business owner does? Okay, someone made a complaint. Okay, I'm telling you, if I had 17,000 employees and over half of them there were complaints about, we'd have a problem here. So we'd have to go back to the drawing board. We'd have to go, what are the problems, segregate them, and put plans in. Because under consumer law, they're all in breach.
Yeah.
And then they get themselves to investigate themselves, and then it's what it is. This is not efficient peopling.
No. And it's not fair.
There are criminals. We do need police. We do need fireys. We do need laws. We do need prevention rather than cure. We do need a lot of those things. It's just not kind of working, is it?
Unfortunately not.
Time to put my wig back on? No. Anyway, it is what it is. It's a tough road, and we talk about the legal watchdog. Well, I'm pretty happy with my dog, and his name's my little puppy's name's Justice. And
maybe does he need it? You might have heard the bark. Does he need a job?
Justice. He's a border collie. He'll take any job that's going, rounding up anything.
Right.
He'll round up anything.
Well, they might need a new watchdog soon enough. So, yeah. Allegedly.
I think so. And maybe we might need to look at the $111.70 in regards to copyright, because just because they are who they are, they don't just get to do that.
Yeah.
And last I looked, under the Acts Interpretations Act, just from reading and Googling, Section 45 says anyone can prosecute. And that was actually confirmed by the new magistrate in Proserpine. Her name's Anna Smith.
So what was that? Acts Interpretation Act?
Yeah, the Acts Interpretations Act, don't quote the year, 45. Anyone can prosecute. Anyone can prosecute. It's like a civil arrest, right?
There's 50. I got one. Acts Interpretation Act, 1954, Queensland legislation.
And if I'm wrong, well, our friend's wrong.
And what 45. Was the section? 14? 45.
45. Oh, I hope I'm right on this.
Or
I was only giving information
on the fly. Well, we were just having a discussion. I don't recall receiving any legal advice.
It is a mutual friend that might have shared that with me, and I'm sure I have it in my memory bank.
45, offence punishable only once. If an act or omission is an offence under each of two or more laws.
Wrong act. I've got the wrong act. Anyway, so
well, that's the one for Queensland. There might be statewide.
It might be federal, but
nationwide.
I don't know. I wouldn't know. It's information only. But the point is, anyone can prosecute. And that's how the police and everyone, they're just using them as subjects of the Crown, bringing about prosecutions. These prosecutors, these officers don't even know that they're liable for bringing this. They're the informant. They've been hung out to dry. It's a double-edged sword. As soon as they realise they're liable, maybe they might be more decisive in their decisions and how they go about things, is my hope. I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Definitely.
Anyway,
we'll
it's getting late. And
yep, we've gone a little bit over than what I'd planned to do. So, yes, but thanks for coming on and sharing that.
Please, on the dog, tell me that the justice involved in this case, I'd like to say his name, but I won't, is everyone that's spoken to me, people that have spoken to him personally, said he's straight down the line. He doesn't play the other people's game. He's Indigenous, and not one person's spoken badly about him. So potentially we'll see what happens. We won't know until the end of February.
So it's allegedly a fair trial.
Yes, well, you'll be there to report on it, so.
Yeah, well, more than happy to provide a civil service. I actually got a jury service notice in the fucking mail this month. So it's the third time I've been called up in 7 years. Maybe I'll get to see something in court for a change. But it did state within it that it is civil service to do these sorts of things. So I mean, far be it from me to be
a criminal court. So how does that even work? You're not in the same jurisdiction as civil service in a criminal court. Did they offer you money?
There is remuneration of some sort. Where did I put that form? That's not it.
Well, that's a court of equity. That's a court of equity. That's not a jury of their peers. They're being paid to come. So anyone that's being paid to come to court, you can't pay someone, but I get why they are, but you can't pay someone to come to court.
So you have been selected at random as a prospective juror in the District of Townsville for up to 2 weeks from this date. Jurors play a significant part in our justice system. Serving on a jury is an important public role, and you are encouraged to take part. It's an important public role. Sorry, I got my words wrong. Yeah. And then they just want a bit of information and whatnot. But of course, please be aware that failing to return the question information by the due date Providing false or
trouble.
misleading information is an offence, and you could be fined $1,000 or imprisoned for 2 months. So that sounds like coercion to me for not filling out the form that I don't recall asking for.
No. And then, say you own your own business or you're working, you're a minor, whatever it might be, got kids, newborn baby, who knows the multiplicity of situations that could occur when you get that letter.
Exactly. It says, do I have to do jury service? As a juror, you will be making a valuable contribution to your community. Your employer cannot penalize you for attending jury service. You must be available for the service unless you are not eligible or you applied to be excused and your application was accepted. Yeah, it definitely sounds like you don't have a lot of choice in these matters. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not complaining because I would like to sit there and see how it all works. I'm always keen for a little bit more education. And I'm sure perhaps I can get some sort of legal advice while I'm there.
So how can you be a jury that has no legal background, can't get legal advice, but you get to make a decision on someone's life?
Yeah. It's an interesting concept.
It's this double-edged line or triple-edged line in the sand. You can't help someone. You can't do this. You can't do that. But we can put somebody that's simply picked out of a random basket. I've been there. I've had my own jury. They have no idea. Sit there and make a decision on your life. Their socio background could be low socioeconomic, middle, upper class, ethnic, different culture, different society. They're not your peers.
No.
Oh.
So will I receive
payment?
Here, Mark. Yeah, you come back. It says here, according to will I receive payment? Yes, you will receive an attendance payment of $47.95. Fuck, you can't even buy a bloody Milky Way for that these days. Each day you attend court. This do they still sell them? I don't know. Can't remember.
No, they don't.
They don't make Milky Ways anymore. Okay, so we must have moved to another galaxy and nobody told me.
I can taste it in my mouth the minute you said it, but yeah, go on.
So, see, I clearly can't buy a Milky Way for that because they don't fucking sell them. Anyway, this allowance increases to $143.40 per day if you have been selected in parallel as a junior. If you receive your regular pay during jury service, you may be required to give the allowance you get for jury service to your employer. That's an interesting one.
Say that again.
It says if you receive your regular pay during jury service, you may be required to give the allowance you get for jury service to your employer. So what, you decide you're going to take it as fucking sick leave or fucking, bloody holiday pay or whatever, Well,
I ran a coffee shop for a sushi bar coffee shop for we'd have 3 staff on. So if one was gone and I had to pay them, what if they're casual?
Yeah.
What if you're casual? The employer has no obligation to pay you, and nor can you be forced.
Yeah, exactly. And why would they pay you for not being at work?
This is indoctrination of I work for the public service. We work 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, right?
Again, I'm happy to do it, but I'd like to be fairly compensated. I'll tell you, $47.95 just to attend.
That's only for the first day.
Yeah,
that's the first day, and you'll only be there for an hour or so. The next day, you get $147.
Yeah, that's only if you have been selected. That's only once you're selected, and even that, $143.40 a day is not enough for me to live on.
You couldn't live on it.
So it's.
You've got a wife and a couple of kids. Yeah, okay then. I'm going to give up I own my own backhoe service. I own my own broadcasting service. Oh, yeah, I'm going to do that. Then you end up, what do you end up with as the jury? People that are not working, they're working little jobs. They think this is exciting. They have no idea. They're not coppers mentos. You end up with people you don't want to be there.
So that's $717 a week, which is a hell of a lot less than I would earn if I was at work.
To sit for 8 hours a day, buy your own lunch. Yeah, no.
So we go 143.4 divided by 8.
Do you have to
They're
pay
paying you
tax on it?
$17.90 an hour. $17.90 an hour. That's pretty low wages. They probably call it, oh, well, that's above award. Well, I don't. Nobody gave me a medal any time I got award wages. I don't understand how that's going to work. You know, I didn't even get a little certificate or a fucking statue or nothing. You know, like, don't you get in a trophy or something?
I got a certificate for doing a backflip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And my royal swimming certificate. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice if the courts give you a little certificate or something. You know, it's going to give me award wages.
Yeah. Gold participation to you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. 8. So we times that by 5. Times that by 4 for the 4 weeks. Yeah, I reckon if let's assume that whole court thing goes on for a month, you know, because God knows how long some of these trials could go on for. You know, $2,868 for the month. That's not going to cover my monthly expenditures to survive in this current
So if you were to lose
climate.
your mortgage repayments, you would be out of pocket. Would you be capable of? I'm not asking a legal advice, just saying, would you be capable of suing them?
That's an interesting question. And of course, you've got to pay for parking in town, as my lovely commenter out there has brought to our attention. No, it's all right. So yeah, well, we've got to pay for parking on top of that, unless you can get someone to drop you off, or you catch a taxi, which is probably more expensive than fucking parking here in Townsville. You know, so it's not a lot of options.
No, because all the lawyers and solicitors get the reserve parking. Shouldn't they have 12 reserve parking spots for their jury?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Shouldn't they?
They should. I've become an employee of the court in a sense. They're paying me, so I must be an employee. That's the way I'm interpreting.
Well, let's wonder how that is. Are you a public servant?
Yeah.
Or are you
do I get a little fancy hat and a fucking little badge of honor or something? You know, like...
Very interesting. Now you've opened a whole nother rabbit hole.
And another Pandora's box.
Yeah, your shirt's getting a bit bright for me now. No, I'm tired. I've had a bit of the.
No, you're right.
I've had a back-to-back for a month, which I would love to tell everyone about. It's progressing amazingly. I think I'm on the win on every. Oh, I just had an elephant beetle just jump in my hair.
Oh, lovely. At least it wasn't a big green tree bug. Yeah.
Welcome
to North Queensland, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to North Queensland. Yeah. So because the lights are on. So I have so much to tell everybody, but I'm just bound by if until these things are ruled non-frivolous and vexatious, and there are multiple things happening, like not multiple dozens of things happening in the court. I just don't want to be seen as being malicious or bringing about false stuff. So I'm just going to sit on it quietly and hope the people on the other side get a proper watchdog, because I certainly wouldn't want these people watching my home.
No, definitely not, you know. So I think there's definitely a bit more bark than bite in this particular instance from what I understand. I mean, they must be desperate for evidence if they're bringing in a podcast that clearly states this is not to be perceived as advice of any kind. Like, again, you think a legal professional would have at least enough intelligence to read that opening disclaimer that we drew attention to. And, hey, let's have a look at that specific part again. The views, ideas, and opinions expressed here are for entertainment purposes only and should not be perceived as advice of any kind. It's pretty straightforward, you know. I don't understand how they can misread or reinterpret that line.
It's not even that. It's the fact that they didn't say at 1 minute 26 I said this. At 3 minutes I said this.
Yeah.
At 7 minutes I said this. They just put the whole video footage. You didn't expect Justice
So,
Crowley to sit down and watch the whole show.
yeah.
Anyway, you might
Well,
enjoy it.
yeah, I
You'd never
hope he
know.
finds your towel with toilet paper on it fucking entertaining if they bring this one in too. I mean, wow. Because at the end of the day, this is entertainment purposes, you know. Well,
That's
if it
right.
pleases the court, let's work on this podcast. It's a good one. We really enjoyed this episode.
Hang on, where's Judge Judy gone? Hang on, Judge Judy. Order in the court. Right? So this is the point. Like, imagine putting
the
this, what we're
prostitution is
doing now,
speaking.
in front of a Supreme Court justice and making him watch it. He'd sit
Yep.
there and look at them as if to say, are you serious? I'm
Yeah.
not entertaining this. This is entertainment.
Yeah. So, you know,
Might have an underlying connotation to it, but at the end of the day, who let
every
the dog
time
out?
you do that, you look at you. I don't know, but I can hear him. Where is he? Oh, hang on.
I'll
There's
try
two of
and
them.
call my dog out. Hang on. Justice. 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 I've got a border collie called Justice. Here he comes.
Mm.
Come here, Justice. Justice. Here he is. He's
So,
not really a puppy.
what's this watchdog got to say?
Hang on. I'm trying to pick him up. He's not really a... Oh, here he is.
Hello.
This is
How you going, buddy? How you going, Justice? Give me paw.
Justice. It's even on his name tag. He's just a big lump of a border collie teenager. He was a
nice.
All right, off you go. Only I have a dog called Justice, and I was even allowed to bring him into the court the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. Anyway, I'm friends with everyone in my courts. They I think they're all behind me because they're seeing the fight that I put up for justice.
Mm.
And
Yep.
I haven't lost anything in 8 years. I'm not recommending it to anybody, but it's so much paperwork, so many trees, so much ink, you know.
Yeah.
It's just like every time. And it's usually just combating what usually the magistrate acting outside of their jurisdiction or the lawyers not adhering to the legislation because they're not used to self-reps coming in and sticking to the letter of the law or being able to hold that in court.
Yeah. And it's becoming more and more prominent as more and more people are going, well, we've got to learn this stuff. Like, as you say, we
There's
don't all
some
have
good people out
$50,000
there.
to... You don't have that kind of cash to go and hire barristers and all that, you know. And you tell me they themselves, in their own words, have said they want a fair, you know, system. What's fair about justice when it's only able to be afforded by those who can afford it? You know, liberty and justice for all who can afford it.
Speak about this, but I can speak about it on a broad terms in a situation that I potentially got a cost order against me the other day. In a matter that potentially the defendant, I was the prosecutor, potentially spent, or I would say, in the vicinity of $20,000 to defend themselves against me. And there's a thing called the Schedule 2 list of fees. And if anyone bought about a prosecution, that Schedule 2, which you can Google, it's not legal advice, it's Googleable. It's only $250 per mention up until $1,500 for the first day of hearing. So you have to wonder why these lawyers and barristers and people like that are charging exorbitant fees when the Schedule 2 list of fees says that they can't. They can't.
Where's the watchdog on that one? You know?
I don't know.
Where's the watchdog? Come on. You know, I thought the watchdog was supposed to friggin' you know, be looking into those practicing the law, you know, and clearly, according to this article here, they can't do it, you know.
And I
they're
think that's why
incapable
we
of dealing with what they had. At the end of the day, the entire legal profession and stakeholders. Oh, yeah, hang on, where was it?
So why does a lawyer get
Yep,
to
simply
charge
doesn't
20
have
to
the resources
50,000?
to deal with every single transgression. They can't deal with what they've got. Why are they moving outside of their field of, monitoring judges and lawyers and stuff and going at the general community? They can't deal. Haven't they got enough? They've got too much on their plate as it is. It's like a
Yep.
greedy child just piling more and more shit up there, and then sitting down at the table going, "Oh, I'm full after 3 bites," and there's a whole mountain of food in front of them. Right. That is a dog. There's your vision of the dog's breakfast.
Yeah, the Dalmatian joke had hit the spot. But I know why they're doing this, right?
Yeah.
I'm very well aware. I wasn't born under a rock, and
Yeah.
I know why, because potentially those things like the Schedule 2 list of fees and those things that are all Googleable. Where does a lawyer get to charge $50,000 when actually they can only claim $1,500 for the first up until the first day of trial? Why are those people charging that much? Because that would be against the legal profession, wouldn't it? Because they write the scheduled list of fees. So wouldn't that assume that anyone should be able to get a lawyer for $1,500 up until the first day of their trial?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I Googled. I know that's what I've got in previous judgments, and I might just put it out there as to why. So people paying $50,000, it doesn't work for them when they claim costs, because if I was the defence, I'd say you can't claim that cost. Brings the whole legal profession into a little bit of a gamut, bit of a pickle. Because only 3 times you complain about a legal professional, they lose their licence, from what I understand. So
Wow.
maybe that's why they're not.
Yeah, there has been discussion for many years and probably decades that there is an ongoing decline in professional standards and even simple professional courtesies, Mahowan wrote, from the watchdog herself.
Yep. Yet then you can Google further about her, and she's off at this place facilitating a meeting and telling the community this, and she's doing these publicity stunts to make sure she's out and about in the community, like, Albanese stunts and all that sort of stuff. And she's not actually focusing on the problem.
No.
Because this is a serious problem. It needs to be fixed.
Attention seeking. Yeah, so according, Brisbane Times comes in and gives her a little bit of a prop at the end of it. Mahana's been in the role for 4 years, was in private practice for more than 20 years, and is a former recipient of the Queensland Law Society President's Medal.
All right, so tell me why someone that would be in their own private practice running their own shop successfully would want to be told what to do by someone else, unless there was something potentially lucrative. Because I know, as a business owner, so I couldn't think of anything worse.
Well, you have to wonder how much he's getting paid and what the benefits are as well.
I could tell you all of that. It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. Right.
So we'll go in here and...
I'm not hating on the woman. I'm not saying she's wrong or right. I'm not saying anything like that. I just had this gut feeling it just doesn't all seem a bit okay, does it? What would I know? Are you going down a rabbit hole?
Yeah, I'm jumping down the rabbit hole. Sentencing, including letting a thug who cowardly punched a victim unconscious walk free without even conviction, was a Labor Senate candidate, long-time member of the party's socialist left and senior union figure. State government has staunchly maintained it has a robust policy of using independent panel to help make judicial appointments, while the Chief Justice of Queensland and one district court judge said it would be expected that some judges would have had involvement with political parties as private citizens that would discontinue if they were appointed to the bench. Fascinating
can I
stuff.
ask you something while you're talking about the bench or the bar? So once you get to the High Court, so the very, very last end of the road, the High Court of Australia, let's say you ended up with a full bench. So that could be either, from my understanding, 7 or 13 odd number of judges, the highest judges in the country. And something might be put before them and the vote comes back 4-3. So the 4 wins majority. Now, you'd think you're at the highest level of the highest court in Australia. Shouldn't it be 7-0? Should there be, by the time you get that high, should there be absolutely no discretion anymore?
You'd think so.
Well, if it was a murder case, i.e., and four said this and 3 said this, that one person, could be the difference of sending someone to jail or being executed or whatever for life or not. So to me, it has to be at least 85% of them, not this this constitution of odd numbers. Do you know what I mean? If you're at the High Court, full bench, everyone should know the precedents, the authorities, the this and that. If they can't do that at the top end, no wonder we're having problems in the magistrates' court. I don't think half the magistrates even know the authorities until they're actually challenged, and then they Google it on an iPad and hope that you don't know. Hearing only.
This is the same article. I might have to look into that one for a later date. Yeah, we'll have to come to it. I'm getting distracted as I'm desperately trying to find the answer to my question. But we should,
I can see that.
I'll find it a bit later because that'll be an interesting one. How much is this woman earning? Because it must be something very lucrative.
Yeah.
And again, according to that, there's
what I found today, but it's well and truly close to the 3/4 of something.
Yeah.
And yeah. And it's all to do with the trusts, the private members. That's why our politicians, they have private cars, they have private planes, they have private this. They're immune from the court. They're acting in their private capacity. The Crimes Act 1914 changed the amendments on 24th of November. It's all plain to see. It's all there, right?
Mm.
The best thing is that I'm going to leave this on a high note. It's been a long fall for nearly 5 years now. But for the first time in history, more people have done what they've done than ever before in history.
Yeah.
Ever before. We might feel like we're failing sometimes. We might feel we're going down the wrong track. I don't want to hear any more of the kind of common law, I deserve my Cesta QV trust back and I deserve this and that. We've got to come together. It's not about the money. It's about justice.
It's about freedom.
It's about what's right from wrong. Freedom, right? Yep. Once we leave the money behind, and yes, we all need to put a roof over. I get all that, right? But it's about challenging and not feeling scared to ask these people who they are. Who are you? I went into the court the other day. Prosecutor, who are you? You're not a juristic entity at no law. Irony. They changed the name. They changed the name from R versus Ward to the police commissioner. Well, that's not even an entity known at law because it has to be the Queensland police commissioner. They even got that wrong, right? Lots of things happening, right?
Understanding how bad they are.
Because they just got, which that article just said, got so sloppy in the way they do stuff. It's compound. If the top is bad, the bottom's going to be bad.
Yeah.
That's that simple.
Yeah. Most certainly so. Well, we just keep sparking up new conversations. We've gone 45 over what we intended to do. So I'll leave you with it. Thanks heaps for coming on, Heidi.
We now just have to look into the copyright, and anyone can prosecute. So if you're looking for anyone to prosecute, I'm pretty sure I might need to get some information from someone, but potentially I might be able to lodge claim for $1,111.70 and you might be looking very happily with a couple of $100,000 in your pocket for your family.
Could be pretty
It's
good.
your
I mean,
footage. It's
I've
your
been looking
copyright.
into a few things myself, particularly regarding these arse clowns here for fail of the year, the conspiracy theorists at Channel 10 and the Townsville Bulletin who just seem to conjure up utter bullshit. I think there might be some defamation for them coming soon.
Well,
that's what my crystal
potentially there
ball,
was a courier.
ball's
Potentially there
telling me these
may
things.
have been a courier mail. Potentially, I'm not sure. A courier mail. Journalists potentially may have been privately prosecuted, and the irony since that happened is that not a single journalist from ABC Channel 7 has turned up at the Mackay Court. Channel 7 were in my face. I've got the sock. They're in my face. Like, tell us this. So I ripped the sock off their thing and I threw it in the bush, and I made a workplace health and safety claim for the court. Well, what did you expect's
Nice.
going to happen when it's in your face? Right?
Yeah,
So
you could have
they haven't
tripped
been
over and
back.
hurt yourself. Got
Yeah,
to,
they haven't been
broken the
back.
glasses and yeah.
And I'm just like, what's wrong with you? You're chasing us with it. You're putting it in my face. What do you
Yeah.
expect? That's provocation.
Mm.
So to avoid
Invasion of
provocation, I made
personal
a workplace.
space.
100%. No, that's assault. It's assault.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, we haven't seen them since.
Assault with a microphone, or it's actually the fluffy thing's called a dead cat. Much like isn't that? There's another. you got assaulted by a dead cat while coming out of a room with someone wearing a dead cat in the head.
Oh no, it's a sock. We've got it. It's got Channel 7 on it. I'm not at home at the moment, but anyway, yeah. And you know what? I don't have an issue. It was put on national television. Like, that's just stupidity to walk up to people in a heated moment and put something in their face and expect them to have to restrain themselves. That's just wrong.
Next time it's like, take the microphone. Oh, thanks for the gift, guys. You were giving it to me, right? That's why you invaded my personal space. Thanks. So they're only about $300 a month.
All right, that's great information only.
Yeah, just one of my crazy ideas, for entertainment purposes only.
But I think there's an element there with this copyright. We talk about it. Dig a bit deeper, find out, look at some authorities, have a look at this, have a look at that. Information only. But if you believe you're within your right, you can prosecute, right? And it's on record today. It's on record in the last podcast, and it's in the court filed. There's no getting out of it. It's not like they sought disclosure. It's not like it was a brief of evidence or anything like that. They just willy-nilly went, no, she did this. And the reason they put it in is because I'm showing that I will continue this behaviour of giving legal advice.
Well, you're not giving legal advice.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to give up. Do they actually think I'm going to give up conferring with somebody?
Having basic conversations and discussing things of interest between two people?
You got the wrong. You got the wrong Wonder Woman here, right? Right? You got the wrong one because it can't happen.
Wouldn't it be good to have that lasso of truth in the fucking courtroom? The Wonder Woman, the lasso of truth. That'd sort them out pretty quick, wouldn't it?
No, once upon a time I could have worn the outfit, but I don't think I'll be doing that. But I can do the lasso.
Yeah. We're in regional Queensland. Surely there's somebody who can teach you how to swing that thing around your head and fucking lasso a lawyer.
I'm pretty sure I might already be able to, but anyway, we're not going there.
No worries.
Yes, there's a few cowboys in my household, so in my family anyway. So and I'm pretty sure my son's whip is actually in a box somewhere. But anyway, Mark, as always, I've got to get going. I'm tired.
No, you're all right. It's all good.
It's just been a huge month. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming on and having a
I see you as Jack Black. The comedian.
Yep. Well, it is for entertainment purposes.
You just need a man bag.
A man bag.
You need a man bag. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I need one here in the podcast. Maybe out in public I can carry it around, get my man bag going, filled with flyers and business cards and whatnot. All right, well, I'll leave you to it, Heidi, and I'll duck you backstage here while I wind this up. So thanks for coming on.
Did you whistle? See you, Watchdog.
Well, I've got the...
What's that? Who's that doggy in the window? How much is...
No worries. Entertainment purposes only, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we're going to have to... The aliens are coming. All right.
I'm leaving
thanks,
now.
Heidi. All right, see you later. Have a good one. All right, thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the entertainment we have provided for you today. If you've got something you want to bring forth to the network, just contact me at NQ Freedom Network at protonmail.com. And we can have a yarn about the wonderful things you could present to your fellow members. Of course, jump onto Telegram to get all the little bits and pieces that I drop in there from time to time, including direct links to the shows when they're coming up. So, and of course, big thanks to all the Patreons out there that help, sort of fund the things that need to be done here, purchasing software and equipment and such. So yeah, do consider becoming one of those Patreons. There is, special videos happening there from time to time. So that's all for now, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and I will see you next time.